Just for everybody to know, we are already live. Give me a second. All right, before I go ahead, can I just confirm we have Rashmi, who is our moderator, and then we have Hardeep also available. I can see that. I saw Rashi. Can I just get a confirmation from Deepika and Harish, Wadhwa also being on this call? I could see Deepika also, I believe. Yeah. Deepika is in, and I can see Mr. Wadhwa as well. All right. Okay, guys, I'm just trying to share my screen. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
All right, so as you're already 12 so let's kick off our today's webinar, which is on changes in the work culture and business due to COVID-19. I won't take much time to talk about it because we already have our moderator and panelists here to discuss about it, but I'll just take a quick some time to talk about our community, which is HR Success Talk. So as a community, we are basically a network of almost 30,000 HR professionals right now across India. This is a network of HR by HR and for HR. And we actually started in 2013. And since then, we already have a network of 30 volunteers, core committee and advisors who are helping to grow this community every day. And this is why we exist. This is basically a platform where people from human resources and business leaders come together. And our idea is to make ourselves a better professional every day and learn from each other as much as we can. If you are a part of HR Success Talk, like you are already right now, if you are in the webinar, and other 30,000 people who are part of it, who are connected with us at the various platforms, what they get out of it, there are three things I would like to bucket this. One is that we all are here to share our knowledge. At the same time, we are here to learn from each other. There are a lot of people who are leveraging this platform to connect with each other, and so that means the third bucket which you see is networking, where people get an opportunity to meet. It is up to people how they want to use this networking platform. There are stories I heard where people have used it for jobs. I heard stories where people are using it for business purposes. So it's absolutely fine, whatever way. And we believe that you should take this networking outside this community as well. Try to meet as and when you can. In this lockdown, maybe try to connect online with each other. The one other important aspect is that as this is a platform to make ourselves a better professional, we give an opportunity and people grab this opportunity of finding mentors for themselves. There are lot many young HR and business leaders here. Even if you are at the entry of your HR career or you are in the mid, you need mentors to look up to seek advice in your career and go ahead from there. At the same time, there are very seasoned SR professionals in this network, in this community, who seek to give these kind of mentorship opportunity to people. So I think it's a win-win where both mentor and mentee get to share and learn from each other and build this network more and more. This is our complete learning ecosystem. As our vision is to come up as a community which focused on knowledge sharing. There are multiple things which we do. So as you can see on the top is webinar, which you are already part of it right now. We have HR forum, which is basically to, we have almost, I think, 28 or 23,000 people on our forum as well. They come there, they ask questions, they ask for formats, they ask for policies, they ask for notifications. All those kind of discussion can happen there. We have a strong presence in social media, which I'll try to cover in the next slide as well. We do our HR Strings Meet, which are basically HR events, panel discussions, speakers, keynote speakers, things like that. But as in the lockdown, we definitely cannot exercise as much. We have YouTube, which is one of our learning platform, and we try to publish as many as video interviews for people to consume and come to that particular vertical and learn and find topics which is of their interest, and they can definitely find a related video on that. We also do online certifications. Past we did a certification on HR analytics, and many people participated and we certified them. And then we also have HR awards. We did recently our HR awards on young HR leaders. The pictures you see on the left side are some of them are from there where people participated and gave their told their story and been rewarded by some of the seasoned HR professional who actually participated as a jury member. We have our website called www.hrsuccesstalk.com. So you will find a lot of interesting blogs out there published by HR professionals and business leaders. So this is a complete ecosystem where you can go, subscribe, follow, like, whatever way you want to. And there are enough knowledge which we keep sharing time to time in all those platforms. This is the glimpse of our social media. 23,000 plus people in our forum. We have 10 WhatsApp group for very regular updates with 1,500 and more members. 30,000 members are on Facebook, 1,500 subscribers on YouTube, and 1,000 on our Twitter. So we basically focus on the top three a lot because we think they are the platform where we will be able to reach out to masses. We are now started putting our focus on YouTube. We are yet not very active on Twitter, but that's absolutely in the plan. Many a times people ask if I want to contribute to this community and help organizing these kind of ecosystem, which I just stated, and I want to participate as a volunteer to support this cause, how can I be that member? So there is no formal process for that. If you wanted to be a volunteer and you wanted to contribute to some of the cause, you just simply need to send us an email on our email ID, which I'll show you in the last. You can also reach out to any WhatsApp group. You can also reach out to any Facebook page. We will definitely be contacting you back. But these are the 4 traits we are looking for if you wanted to be our volunteer. So first of all, this is something which is a voluntary assignment. If you want to be a volunteer, you have to be, there's no monetary gain in this whole process. It is something which has to come from your heart. You have to have a zeal to help others. You are willing to invest some time, and you have an eagerness to learn. So if you have these 4 traits and you can consistently apply those 4 traits, you can be our volunteers, and you can reach out to us through email, WhatsApp, Facebook, on our website, or whatever way you find is convenient. We will reach out to you to discuss this opportunity with you. These are some of our past events, a glimpse of the past events which we have done. These are basically our HR strings meets, which happened in the past. These are our advisors. We have two team members. One is advisor and second is our committee. So when I talk about advisor, Rashmi is also one of our advisors. So they help us to build our future strategy. And then we have a core committee, which basically focus on implementing those strategy. Under this core committee, we have volunteers who help this core committee to actually execute on the ground. So these are some of our, not some of, these are all, like, so you can see 5 here and you can see 4 here. These are our advisor who helps us from time to time in building the strategy which we have. With that said, I'll take a pause. Thank you very much to listen to me on introduction piece. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer. Following is our email ID and website. Is there any question I can answer you guys? All right. Looks like we are good.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, I'm Vasu. Just now you mentioned that volunteers are most welcome to your team. So I just wanted to know what kind of jobs or what kind of profiles or what exactly they will be put into. What would be
yeah, thank you for asking this question, Vashu. As I said that we have a learning ecosystem. And if you remember that slide where I was talking about all kind of different learning ecosystem, website, certifications, YouTube, social media, webinars, awards. So depending upon your own interest, the respective core committee leader of that particular vertical will reach out to you, and they can assign you some tasks depending upon how much time you can spend, things like that. Just for your information, we put a lot of efforts on elevating our own volunteers, and we keep doing a lot of special training programs for them only by different professionals. So depending upon your interest, depending upon where we are looking for a volunteer, depending on the kind of work, we explain that to an individual. Like, for example, in this webinar, you might see a lot of people who have put in the effort to put it on the Facebook, to coordinate with the participants, to record it, to put it on YouTube. There are a lot of things which happens, a lot of efforts which goes behind it. So it's all volunteers who does this work.
Okay, thanks.
I see somebody raising a hand.
Yeah.
Is it Vasara? Yeah.
Yeah. See, is there any age restrictions for the certification courses, what you refer to? And any experience, only experienced professionals can take the certification courses or something like that?
So we have, no, there's no age cap, but yes, for depending upon what kind of certification it is, the interested parties only come and participate. So for example, as I mentioned that last we did a certification on HR analytics, most of them were HR professionals who are in HR operations and wanted to make their career in HR analytics, or just wanted to know about it to do better in their organization. So it is actually depend upon what certificate we are launching. What I know is that our certification team is planning to launch another certificate on design thinking and human resources. So I'm assuming there will be more HR professionals who will be participating. There is no age bar to participate in any of our certification. You will get to know more information on our Facebook page. We are expected to launch it this coming week, so you will get to know more about that. All right.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, thanks for your answer.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead. I will just take this last question.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to know, is there any link or any updation that we could be able to know that when you are going to give the certification, or what type of certifications, new courses, so that we can participate, we can join that.
And not only for certificate, for anything which we do. If you have liked our Facebook page, or if you are a member of any of our social media, you will get to know that information. So I would request you to like our Facebook page, and you will get a notification from that page itself. If you are a part of our WhatsApp group, you will get to know from there too. So you can choose any way you want to do that, and you will get the notification.
Thank you. Since I am first time I have joined your group, this is my first webinar. So let me check the Facebook and the WhatsApp group. I'll be in touch with you, touch with the HR Success Talk, and look forward for the further improvements or the things get from this HR Success. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And I would request, if you have more questions, please put it on the chat box. If we have time, we'll take them. If not, then we'll reach out to you in person after this webinar. But as you know, this webinar is more about the transmute in work culture and business during COVID-19. So I would like to, go ahead with kickoff of this event. As a host, I will just talk about a little bit how this whole webinar today is structured. So after this, I will hand it over to our moderator, Rashmi ma'am, and she will take this ahead. I would request you to ask your questions on the chat. We will take all the questions at the end. And we are also live on the Facebook. So to the panelists and the moderator, we might pick up questions from both the places. So we have kept 20-25 minutes at the end for the question and answer. So we'll take them, and this is how this whole, the webinar is structured. Now, let me take the honor and introduce our moderator, who is also our advisor. And I respect Rashmi ma'am a lot. She's basically a Chief Human Resource Officer of the Waves Group in Noida. And if you are from Delhi NCR, I know everybody is aware about all the malls and cinema halls Waves on. So she's the CHRO out there. She is a postgraduate in human resource from XLRI, Jamshedpur, with over 20 years of experience in human resources across different industry. She's also a certified master assessment expert, an executive coach, and a change management expert. She was awarded as one of the most influential HR leader in India by World HRD Congress in 2016. So this is about our moderator today. So Rashmi ma'am, with this, I invite you and welcome you to this panel discussion, and stage is all yours.
Thank you, Govind. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I can.
So thank you so much for inviting me. And it's absolutely a pleasure to be in front of all of you all. And I think we are almost 90 of us. This is a great thing because, after all the social distancing, something we had never heard of before, to meet people, to greet them, to speak to them. And as Govind said, sharing of knowledge and learning, it's a big thing today. And it's a really hot morning today. I wonder how Corona is still surviving over here. We're lucky we're indoors. We'll drive Corona away very soon. So I have the pleasure of introducing the panelists. So how it goes, like Govind says, I will first introduce the panelists, and then there'll be a set of questions. I'll ask the same questions to the panelists. The same questions will go in the same order so that we get different perspectives from different industries. And I hope there are a lot of takeaways for all of you. And we'll answer the questions in the end. Is that okay? Can you hear me all?
Very much, ma'am. Very much.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
yeah. Yes. Is there something I have to address? Can I go ahead?
Please go ahead.
All
Please
good. All good.
All good? Okay. It's nice to hear you all, if you say yes, no, whatever. Otherwise, I feel very isolated. I really feel that it's really social distancing. Okay. So my first panelist is Hardeep Singh. He's the head of strategy and transformation, HCM Applications Oracle. Hardeep Singh serves as the head of HCM transformation at Oracle India. His role is to help Oracle customers walk a transformation journey and provide advisory on creating a unique workforce experience. Over the last 2 decades, he has been an entrepreneur, a student of HR, and as a consultant to many Fortune 500 organizations on the areas of talent management, organization design, employee experience, leadership development, succession planning, and career management. Hardeep carries rich experience of managing business for Right Management, Max Life Insurance in various leadership roles. Thank you, Hardeep, for joining us, and welcome to the panel.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Govind. Thank you, Rashmi.
Welcome, sir.
My daughter is next to me and she's listening to your introduction. She's feeling very elated that her father's done such work.
Oh, say hello to her.
And she just ran away.
Oh, God. I'll meet her later. So next we have Deepika, Kacker, Pandita. She's the Director, Human Resources. The Hamstede Living Private Limited is where she works. She has 15 years in hospitality, including over 13 years in human resources functionalities. Handling talent acquisition in leadership hiring, campus recruitment. Worked on manpower, budgeting, talent management, L&D, employee engagement, and various other facets of associate management and business well-being. Currently working on assembling a great leadership team to craft a global organization in the field of revolutionizing the co-living ecosystem. Oh yes, co-living is really coming in. And welcome to the panel, Deepika. Hello. Hello.
Deepika, you're on mute if you're saying something.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I thought I was on mute. Everything's
Thank
okay.
you.
Yeah, Deepika, I hope you heard me through. So next we have Harish Wadhwa. Harish, you're there? If you can unmute yourself, please. Yeah. Yeah. He's a business head and senior VP, HCL Infosystems. Over 23 years of experience in general management, sales and marketing roles in diverse sectors of FMCG, telecommunication, insurance services, education, and IT services. Last 14 years have been in P&L, head and corporate leadership roles in large business entities. Track recording in strategizing and execution of business transformation. Welcome to the panel, Harish.
Thank you.
And then we have Rashi Paliwa. She's the HR business partner at Haworth. Rashi has over a decade of progressive work experience, starting with sales and majorly in human resources. She has handled global HR organization structure and projects in implementation in India effectively. In addition, experiencing different business phases from ramp up of hiring to freezing, acquisition, restructuring, spin-off, carve-out, and now COVID-19. Oh, wow. And has given a fair bit of change management and cultural transformation perspective. She's an MBA gold medalist, certified trainer, a neuro-linguistic programming NLP practitioner, and a life coach. Welcome aboard, Rashi.
So much, Rashmi. Pleasure to be a part of the panelist. Thank you.
Okay. So I think we are all ready now to kickstart. Govind, are we good to go?
Yes, ma'am, we are.
So we have, we'll be having 3 rounds of questions for each of the panelists. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of takeaways because we've got people from all different industries and there will be a lot of sharing and learning, I'm sure. So I'll just give a little bit of a introduction, 2 minutes, and then we'll begin. So as the topic, as Govind said, the topic of the discussion is that how would it change things when we go back, the culture and the business, right? How the transmute in work culture and business. So as we are today here, the organization of the future is already taking shape in the moves that companies are making now. It's already, we haven't gone back to work physically, but we are already working from home. And the organization of the future actually is already taking shape. And if you look at it, they say that it's the worst things happen when, it happens to people, then the best things come out. So it seems that the same thing has happened to the organizations. All over the world, we're facing the same problem of COVID-19, that how do we serve our customers better and the different communities? But it is really, people have really risen to the situation, to the occasion. And almost every leader we speak to, always, there are so many inspiring stories, about the radical changes. Is there a disturbance in between? Can you all hear me? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I heard something else in between. So I thought somebody was asking me a question.
No.
Is it good to go?
Yes.
Clear,
Okay.
clear.
So I said, we're already working and we're hearing a lot of inspiring stories about the radical changes, paradigm shifts, how work gets done. And almost everyone is trying to, fighting for survival. So people are fighting for survival, organizations are fighting for survival. But there are a lot of them who are leading in the new. And the ones who are leading in the new, it's a formula for success for them. So actually, if you think, the disruption always ushers in the new, and this is what is happening. And again, amidst this fear and uncertainty, people are actually energized. And there's a lot of purposeful statements that have come out. People are trying to eliminate bureaucracy, empowering leaders, and decision making has been turbocharged, sitting at home. So before I come to my first question, there are 3 critical parameters that I read about recently in a McKinsey article, which I'd love to share with you. I think it was a really good one, and which said that there are 3 critical parameters that we need to look at. One is who we are. Who we are means purpose, value, culture, how we operate, that's the ecosystem, learning, and the learning platforms, and how we grow, that's the decisions, talent, and structure. So right now, as we stand here, I think we all need to reposition ourselves and the organization in this crisis and turn this adversity into an opportunity. So means, in other words, that we need to lead with, at the same time, with awareness, empathy, and compassion. So I begin with my first question, and that would be to Hardeep, that the organizations are already changing, right? They're already taking shape. And a company's clear sense that how it could preserve value for itself, for the customers also, is giving them an advantage for the next normal. This is a new word again, next normal takes shape. So Hardeep, according to you, how do we redeploy assets and human capital to new ways of value creation? You could give an example from your organization or what you think about it, that how do you think, how should we redeploy assets and human capital to new ways of value creation?
Yeah. Thanks, Rashmi. That's a very powerful question. Firstly, the definition of value is changing significantly. It's always changed. Value has been evolving over the years, over the millenniums, over centuries. But off lately, what is value and how we see it in our own career is changing. What was good work for my organization 20 years back and what is good work today is a significant shift in that. That is one. Second, from a customer lens, value is very, very different. Today you have, who would have thought that value could be in creating micro videos? So there is this piece around value to be the new attention. That if you have attention of people, you have value. That's a new paradigm altogether on which new models and businesses are being created. The second thing is this current situation has overhauled, and not really overhauled, but it's really forced a lot of organizations to relook at their business models. Many operating models today, in the current context as we speak, in the next month, 2 months, 5 months, don't seem very sustainable. And you can, we all are on the call. All of us are from HR. It's all over the place. You can see many organizations, business models being tanked. I was just recently speaking to a CHRO of a play school company. The play school businesses completely got impacted, and the current line of sight on when it will come back to normal is also not available. If there are more and more IT and ITES and more commercial establishments moving to work from home in the next 6 to 8 months, their entire business is under a lot of financial threat. So while that is happening, there is also a lot of smart models being created on the planet, where organizations are looking to where businesses are looking to solve problems for their customers using artificial intelligence, and and it is somewhat like what electricity was like 100 years back. 100 years back, if there was a problem on on a screwdriver and it was requiring manual effort, or there was a washing machine which was requiring a washing process which was requiring manual effort, electricity was added to it, and there were new businesses which were created. Similarly, today, the opportunity is that as we can look at any business process, any value creation process, add a layer of artificial intelligence to it, add a layer of technology to it, and make it more faster and simpler for consumers. So you have on one hand a situation which is very uh, deep right now. On the other hand, you have this wave of artificial intelligence and business models being questioned. Thirdly, which was very interesting, was we did a research with and this was about like 15 days into the lockdown in India. We opened the research globally, and some very interesting paradigms emerged in it. Close to 73% people who responded said that they will look at alternate sources of income, and they would like to build multiple sources of income in this. So that's the other paradigm which is kicking in, that this entire relationship between employee and employer will go into a new paradigm where organizations will look to not only have FTEs like full-time employment. I mean, gigs and FTEs, there were two different buckets, but increasingly we believe that we will have internal employees who will raise their hands for gigs internally and solve for organizations. So the entire redeployment, while technology will drive efficiency, but from an effectiveness standpoint, organizations will look at these new models of relating with their talent pools, not necessarily on a full-time headcount basis, but more on an on-demand assignment basis. And the beauty of this will be that it will be driven internally. So that's how my view is, that one, there is this overarching, change or value, what is happening. Second, there is an operating model which is currently getting threatened, and which is where new operating models which are coming in. And thirdly, there is this relationship between an employee and employer, which will transmutate, if I was to borrow a word from the discussion today.
That's all, Hardeep. That was really good. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of information that you've shared about the word value itself being
changed. I mean, today you don't need a cab. So, I mean, I shouldn't say you don't need a cab. You don't need a cab as much as you needed it yesterday.
Yes,
absolutely. So the whole business model of a ride-sharing business is getting impacted, and they need to now look at how the entire value chain will get impacted. I mean, I ran out of alcohol. I had a lot of alcohol at home, but I drink beer, and I ran out of beer. And one of my main parts of my job is to think of skills of the future. And my view was that beer brewing skill, I completely forgot. I wish I had a home brewing capability, and I could have done beer. So, things are very
fluid. Yeah,
things are hitting us where we had never imagined it. And it might sound like a joke, but there were some friends of mine in Pune who were doing home brewing for like 5 years. So they were pretty chilled out. They said, okay, we got it sorted out. But that's again a middle class problem. Somebody who has money on the table. There are other problems on the table, larger, which are hitting the country, which are hitting businesses. I mean, I just pointed that out to share that how skills is changing.
Absolutely. And the way you described it also, and especially the employer and employee, relationship, as it is, we are far away right now. And in any case, the gig workers, why would an employer actually think of it to keep a person full-time and even keep him on the bench waiting when he doesn't even know he has a project or not? So the gig workers will.
Sorry, Rashmi, I just want to come in on this. I'm not saying it's going to be an hour. I'm not saying FTEs will be asked to become gigs or like. I'm saying, let's say if I'm a full-time employee at Oracle, I have time on my hand, I have skills on my hand, I have interest on my hand. I can raise my hand and I say, I'll pick up this role and I'll do this gig or do this assignment or this project on an additional basis. And the organization will not say, okay, just because you're an FTE, I'll not pay you additionally for it. I think that piece will emerge in addition to what I just want to clarify. Over to you, Rashmi. Sorry.
Yeah, I know you're absolutely right, but that would be for larger organizations, those who have the funds. But if you're looking at smaller organizations, nobody's the way things are. They would prefer to have people like I can give you an example for construction. Like if you're doing the facade part of the building, why would you hire him for the whole year? You will hire him only for 2 months. Okay, so this is, and then you can work elsewhere also. So it's the skilled person, I think, who will survive. A person who's got those meta skills and skills who will be able to survive. So I think we will move on to our next panelist. Deepika, what is your say on this? How you think we should redeploy the assets and the human capital for new ways of value creation?
Rashmi, thank you so much for asking this question. When I think about the answer, I think that this situation can be solved in a triangle manner, in which we have employer, employee, and hotel owners. So when I think about employer, employee, and hotel,
I think we have lost her, Rashmi. Are you able to hear her?
I cannot hear.
Yeah, I think we lost her. So
we've lost Deepika, I think.
Yeah. Yes, we did.
Thanks to technology.
Yeah, would you like to move to another speaker?
Yeah, maybe Harish can come on. Harish, you're there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. So maybe you can take it forward because Deepika is lost.
So taking from where we lost Deepika, right? And that's the point I would like to build my thoughts on, right? So we have got into something which was unplanned. None of us had thought about it, right? And it looks like these unsustainable things are going to last longer than we anticipated, right? So all of us, our organizations, our IT systems were meant to work from office, right? Now we are in a situation where most of the employees are working from home, and whether it's the bandwidth in the residential areas or our system in the organizations are coming under a lot of pressure. To give you an example, our entire databases for government's data-centric projects were designed with keeping in mind that data is getting accessed from the premises. People are visiting office from premises, data is being accessed, processes are being run. Now you have a situation where those same set of work is being done from home, right? Now, so entire proposition from customer side, they want to continue to have a same data privacy, which was processes were designed to meet the access requirement of data access and processing of it sitting in the office premises. Now the same thing need to be done from home, right? So entire process is undergoing change, right? Which require a lot of IT intervention, right? So, and that's one part of it. How we do business is changing. Our processes are changing. Second is most of the employees are going by historical setbacks we had in the past. People suffering from sudden unexpected hardship are likely to use which they previously thought was unthinkable, right? So all of us are going through a lot of introspections, a lot of thought processes, how we will work, right? So that feeling of insecurity or feeling of innovating something is making people question everything, right? So this has a lesson for employer and this has a lesson for organization as a whole. So the way we were managing our teams, the way leadership was managing their teams is going to change. The leadership which is required to sustain or grow the business versus leadership which is required to bring transformations, which is the need of hour, is totally different. So leadership styles have to change. Employees have changed. In historically last 3 months, we have seen the changes which all of us were expecting to happen in 5 years. Right? So that's the state of changes which has happened. To give you a perspective of one of the system which works very slow, let's say government in the decision making, right? Most of the decisions have been made by government officials in absence of physical file. Most of the first decisions have been virtual in nature, right? Most of the decisions has been taken on the video calls or phone calls with their teams, right? So that's the paradigm shift which has happened in government, who is supposed to work as a lethargic, bureaucratic, slow organization, has traveled so much of distance that decisions are being made virtual. And I'm sure all of us are observing similar kind of big changes happening in our own organization, right? So when these changes are happening in employees, these changes is happening in the ecosystem, they are imperatives for all of us to understand these ecosystem changes and adopt to these changes and be innovative, right? Now, there are great examples of how things are changing, right? People have, uh, uh, people are releasing movies online which were meant for theaters to survive. Otherwise, already you have incurred expenses. You can't afford to delay the release of the movie, right? So innovation is going to be key how you adopt to the situation, right? So innovation is the key, your reskilling of the employees, reskilling of the leadership role, and more than survival, growth mindset has to come. If we think of survival with the same set of values, same set of processes, it's not going to be easy for anyone. All of us somewhere need to get into growth mindset, thinking bigger, right? So one of the example can be parity growth during these times are the ask for the situation, right? Uh, as people say, 80% of the success comes by just showing up, right? For all of us, right? Online is a new field which has opened up, right? So showing up is going to be key for the growth mindset in the future, right? So these are the value changes I expect to happen. If you have examples of Uber's cutting down jobs, you have people adopting a different approach, Asian Paints giving increment to their employees, although they were already supposed to do it, but announcing, going ahead and making a public announcement about it. These are the two different approaches being adopted by two successful companies. And the success lies in the kind of positions you are taking, how you are going to handle future development, how the consumer is going to look at things, whether they are going to be happy with the value proposition being communicated white than whiter, or they are going to challenge those paradigms, look at everything with suspicion, how your employees who are themselves scared are going to react to it, how leadership is going to handhold how your IT system is going to make people, enable people to work from wherever they want to, how the security concerns of working from home are going to be addressed, how the psychological factors affecting employees who used to spend good amount of time gossiping around, which is a vital part of the culture, are going to shape up organizational changes which are going to anyway happen, right? So being absent from the organization premises, how the culture changes will be driven, right? So the market is changing, employees changing, your competition is changing, competition is ready to look at making innovation, making their online presence. So a lot of business models are going to be challenged. And your employees are out of premises, your culture is going to be under pressure. So it's a very tough situation to be in, but very right time to be in also, right? And time to think bigger. So keeping this in mind, one thing which I was reading one of the article in detail, one need to stick to the core competencies of the organization. Don't get too carried away with the small innovations happening which are driving revenue for you, which is required for sustaining the revenue model of the company or supporting the cost of the company. But you can't change the track of what core competencies you have, right? Either work to build your new competencies or stick to your core competencies. Don't get too carried away with what others are doing. So fundamental changes are there, but basics of business will remain. You need to stick to your core competencies, respond to market, get into growth mindset. Keep in mind leadership requirements are different, employees are changing, customer is changing, even government officials are changing. So we are flooded with so many changes. In last 3 weeks, 4 weeks, the amount of changes we have seen is unimaginable. And only one I see who is adopting to this situation very well is a local grocery store, right? So he is the person to look forward to and adopt to new situation in our respective organization. That's the way I look at entire changes happening.
Thank you, Harish. I think there's a lot of change you told us about. I mean, yes, everything is changing. The market, the consumer, the government. Yes, they came up with so many of these notifications that and all the video conferencing that nobody had expected. The two examples that you gave of Uber and Asian Paints are also, I mean, really worth looking into. You know, two different perspectives of the whole thing, and the growth mindset and innovation being so important. Sticking to your own core competency, but I would definitely say learn new competencies, because you know everything. COVID is so new, and COVID is going to be even maybe newer. So let's learn something new on a daily basis. I think there's a lot to learn, and yes, change is constant. It's been proved right now. So I think Deepika is back. Deepika, you're back?
Yes, I'm back, Rashmi. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you went away. We missed you a lot. Now, if you can start off where you left.
Sure. So I was talking about multitasking, how owners, the employers and employee going to change after COVID-19. And everybody will be okay doing multitasking and multi-skilling job, because this is the new normal going to be. We are going to adapt the Western culture. When we go out to any, when I had gone to London, I had seen that in the restaurant, there were only 4 employees, restaurant manager, 2 employees and a chef. But if you go to an Indian hotel, you'll find 12 employees standing in the restaurant for you to help. But now the days are gone. When we used to work on a manning ratio, for 1 room, we will have 2 employees. Now for 1 room, we will have 0.50 employees. That means guests need to change themselves, employer will change themselves, employee will change themselves, and owners would love that we will do very, very less hiring, very lean manning. This also leads to part-time jobs. In hospitality, you will never see, hiring employees on a part-time basis, because we create an empathy and care with the guest, and the guest want to see the employee again and again, same employee, same guest, and they create a good bonding. But now it will change. we will work on a model of part-time employees as well. And also we will be having a different pattern of recognizing employees. The job will not be time bound, but it will be productivity bound. So if you do good, you get higher incentives. If you don't do good, you don't get higher incentives. So this is what I think will change in the hospitality when I see the triangle of employer, employee, and owners. Thank you.
Thank you, Deepika. Yes, multitasking, yes, one needs to know a lot more, because an employer, it seems, will not hire us just for one skill or for a long period. And what you said, you gave that example about the restaurant, which is very true. Even I've noticed the same thing, that, you know, you have so many people around over here, and then you have limited people who overseas who do a lot of jobs, you know, and so they still remain hired. And being productivity bound, the outcome is more important. It's not sitting in front of the laptop for 8 hours that is important. That's the outcome that is going to be, you know, that employers will look at. And now we have Rashi. Rashi, you're there?
Yes, I'm there, Rashmi.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I mean, you've listened to so many of us now. So I hope, I'm sure you have a lot of interesting things to say on this subject.
Yeah, first of all, there were great insights shared by all. Now, my 2 cents, the question that you asked, Rashmi. I think, first of all, COVID is just one of the many, I would say, disruptions businesses have faced in past or might face in future. To me, it is fundamentals of responding to any crisis or any such changes remain same. Either you change the business model, or, you know, the strategic alliances come into picture, collaboration comes into picture. You have to change the way you do things to face the changes in the external environment. Now, having said that, one thing which you very well highlighted, you know, the clear sense of value for self and clear sense of value for the clients is going to be the North Star. If you have that as a North Star, everything falls into picture accordingly. Definitely current times are a bit more different because it's a very big game changer. Everyone is facing changes. It's not just one industry which is going through changes. It is everyone altogether. But at the end of the day, if you look at the fundamentals of it, it will remain same. So for example, if you look at, you know, Swiggy, Marriott on Wheels, they had a strategic alliance with Swiggy. So their whole purpose to give value to the clients, to make sure that it reaches the end clients, they're finding through strategic alliances. In the same way, we look at multiple other cases wherein, you know, they have, in fact, outside India, maybe not in India, I was reading, there is something which is coming up is like cross-industry collaboration. It's a very interesting phenomenon which is being seen right now, wherein in one of the articles it was mentioned that UK Airlines, you know, they offer their grounded staff, grounded cabin crew as additional staff to hospitals. Now, something I would say like a gig economy, what Hardeep also highlighted, that if you are available, if your resources can be used, maybe internally, maybe organizations will also look for it when they have unutilized resources, then how do we go ahead and, you know, have a collaboration across industries. Now, to come to the point wherein you highlight how do we redeploy resources. I would say, if you look at the situation, so I would like to put it in 2 ways. One is how you look at the assets, and other is human capital, because they are supposed to be treated a little differently, as I understand. So assets, of course, is something when you are looking at redeployment, you would look at the usability and utilization in the new normal. And how do you see that it is going to be used? For example, like we've seen changes in past. Earlier it was a CFL business, right? Then it moved to LED industry, and that major shift in technology had definitely clear understanding that you have to redeploy your current assets, whether your current assets can be utilized for LED manufacturing or assembly. If no, then you have to see that whether you have to do away with that. It's not redeployment. You might have to do away with the current assets. In the same way, if you look at the way Railways has made coaches into, centers for quarantine. So they had certain assets. They looked at that how these can be changed in the current circumstances. So why I'm linking the point is because the assets part exists. We all have to look at how they can be used in a different way in the current situation. In the similar way, if you look at a lot of companies have come up and are making ventilators, right? And that's not their core competence. That's not the business they are into. However, in the current situation, they can see their manufacturing facilities are lying idle, and the current assets can be utilized in making a new thing. So they are making use of that situation. It can become a business model also if it is successful. Maybe currently it's only the need of the hour, but maybe future it can be a part of their new business model because the resources allow for it. So I think that's the part of human capital I would like to highlight. The other important and critical part is the people, not the human capital. I mean, it's now the human capital, that's the asset part. There, I think we have to really look at the skills, right? That's the fundamental whenever you are looking at redeployment. Availability, relevance, and transferability of skills becomes the core of taking any decisions on redeployment. As I was just highlighting about the change in industry, for example, from CFL to LED or from that to IoT. So whenever such changes are happening, you have to look at whether you have internally the skill set that you're looking for. If you don't have that, first you need to have an understanding whether you have availability, then you have to understand whether it is relevant for the new normal, for the future, to make yourself future proof. And then you have to look at whether it is really transferable, whether the person can really work in the new setup. And if it is not redeployment, then you have to, of course, go ahead and look at resources outside your own internal organization. So I think that's how I would like to put maybe the redeployment part, that skills become a fundamental if you are really looking at making any redeployment decision. That's about it from my side.
Thanks, Rashi. You gave very apt examples. And in fact, these are the ones that we are going through. And these are the inspirational stories about, you gave that example, of course, CFL and LED. And you said about the cross-industry collaboration. Even I read recently, I think it was in the McKinsey article that said that there was in Saudi Arabia, there was an organization that had a lot of cinemas, and then all the cinema business stopped. Nobody's going to the cinema. So instead of laying off the staff, he tied up with a retail chain, and all the staff was employed. And similarly, if we had more of this cross-industry collaboration in India, then a lot of people would not lose their jobs. Yeah. So I think we've got enough on this good information, a lot of takeaways on the first topic. Now we will move to the second part of it, which is the most interesting part, I think, is the structure of the organization. So,
Rashmi ma'am, if I can just request and advice on the matter is that there are questions coming up over Zoom and Facebook Live. Okay. So maybe after this question, if you can allow some question, like after this question of yours, if you allow some questions from the audience, that would be great.
So I think I agree with you. I think we would stick to 2 questions only, because we'd like to answer the questions that, the people need to know instead of giving our own questions. So let's go with the second questions. So a little bit on the subject, as now every organization, like we discussed right now, they have new ways of work, have started new ways of working. There's a new speed and it's at scale, and new lessons are actually emerging out of it. So 1 or 2 things that have come out very eminent. One of them is the need for a flatter, faster, and a non-hierarchical structure. And how do we turbocharge decision making? So there are a lot of organizations that have a very, a rigid hierarchy. They use that hierarchy for all relationships and to get the things done. So this structure that has a very strict hierarchy with, people at different layers, they are the ones that are finding the current environment paralyzing. So what happens is when you have a structure, you have a chain of command, right? Now, in these circumstances where you have so many events happening one after another, and so this normal chain of command gets bogged down. And what happens is people start moving in different directions, and they stop pulling. And in such crisis situations, we have observed that there are alarming delays in communicating with the customer, with the supplier, with the employee. So what happens is this is aggravated mainly because of hierarchy. So what are we looking at? We've all realized, I think most organizations have realized, that we need to have flatter organizations where there's a high degree of autonomy. Autonomy with whom? Autonomy with the people who are working in the edge of the organization. Edge means the one who's closest to the customer, to the stakeholder. We should give them higher degree of autonomy. And how do we do that? This is what we need to discuss. How do we align different groups together? How do we create those nerve centers, those cross-functional nerve network teams, to tackle this hierarchy problem, so that there is a quicker decision making and we can turbocharge it. So that's my second question. Now maybe we'll start with Rashi because she was the last to do it. So according to you, Rashi, how do you think we should build these agile working structures, and how could we turbocharge decision making?
Great question. Agility is something, Rashmi, which is like, it's actually in the discussion for many of me from last many years, I would say, and it's been coming to forefront. Now, agility, there was something, I again, referring to one of the talent surveys by Mercer. It was on World Economic Forum page, wherein I read it. And it was mentioned that agility is being perceived as a fluid, more of fluid teams and, people, workers with certain skill set. Or maybe varied skill set, instead of agile structures and agile processes. Now, I think that's something wherein it is bringing to a fundamental focus that how do we perceive that, how do we bring agility? Is it through people only, or is it through actually agile structures and processes? Now, the moment we bring our focus from people to processes, we understand a very fundamental thing, that if you bring an agile person in a hierarchical, setup, he or she will get frustrated. Wherein if you really have an agile structure or process, even people will be moved to take action. Then decision making really becomes easy. So I personally feel that to bring agility, definitely the focus should be first on the structure and the processes, how you have really made your system. I rightly highlighted that hierarchical organizations are really having a tough time. And it's believed that usually, as the question itself suggests, that matrix organizations are much more agile, in terms of taking decisions also faster. However, if you ask about my experience, I think yes, definitely matrix does help, but it is the culture of the organization which not just eats strategy in breakfast, but it also can, eat agility or your decisions to really make your organization agile also in breakfast. Because what happens is that at the end of the day, if your organization is really making a structure, but at the end of the day, your people are not, it's not transparent. The transparency part is not coming to picture. How the work gets done is still not changing because people believe in that this is the way things are done over here. Then there is a friction and conflict. So it's a very fundamental thing which needs to be addressed when you are making structure. It's not just about bringing a policy in place. You have to really understand how the culture of the organization is. Is it naturally agile? For example, I would say our organization is to a large extent very agile. We work very closely with teams, so decision making too is faster. But even in a matrix, if your local organization ends up becoming hierarchical, or there are certain departments who are more hierarchical and business units are very agile, then again there will be a conflict. So you have to look at maybe everything in together when you're looking at making an organization more agile for turbocharging decisions.
Thank you, Rashi. And I like that point about the culture coming into the structure part, because the culture is one of the important parameters. And I agree with you that, the matrix structures are better, but there are structures called the helix structures. I don't know if people are going to discuss this, which is coming out right now to be very effective. But maybe right now we'll move on to Harish. Harish, what is your perspective? How do we build these agile structures that we can respond immediately?
Rashmi, my perspective on this is probably we are approaching the epidemic situation and the new challenges market is throwing up with what we were doing earlier. These buzzwords of bringing agility, making the organization flatter has been the way we have been thinking about bringing changes in the organization anyway, right? So I'm not saying these changes of flat organization, agility are not required, but I am not in a favor of approaching this situation with a preset mind, right? That flatter structure is the need of our, bring all the changes. I will not like the approach of trying to bring all the reforms in the economy just to revive the epidemic situation, right? So you're getting what I'm saying, right?
Right.
I am open to the idea of old school of thoughts of bringing agility, flatter structure. All of us understand there are benefits of it, but is it a time to bring those changes? I have my own thoughts on this. We are going to have a lot of changes in the ecosystem, a lot of changes in the employee behavior. Adding another change, whether it's going to add to anxiety of the leadership team or the teams, or it can be delayed to handle one war at a time rather than opening war at multiple fronts. That's my take. I'm not prescribing or cautioning against anything, but the view I'm taking it, don't take a preset mind to approach the situation, right? That's my take on how the culture evolution or changes should be seen in this context.
Thank you, Harish. Absolutely, we should not just jump into that. And it's important, that's why I did mention that, there are a lot of organizations that are not actually, because you can't change the hierarchy immediately or right now, but they're building those nerve centers. These nerve centers are small groups that do not work. They're not part of the hierarchy, but they work outside the group, but they connect through a hub center. So there are different ways we could tackle this. See, the end thing is the outcome, that how the decision making should be turbocharged, in such circumstances, and the customer and the community should not suffer. What is your take on that, Deepika? Deepika, are you there?
So I would like to give an example to Sir about the making of decision. So what do we do in hotels? I would not like to name the hotel chain completely, but yes, how do we do is that when we are taking a decision and an employee has done something wrong with the guest or some delay in service. So we have a book, an employee has a book in which the employee can see that up to a decision of rupees 20,000, he can make a decision. It is whether it is to waive off or to give a discount. So the employee knows that if there's a mistake of about 20,000 rupees, the employee can make a decision. And if there's a mistake of approximately 50,000 rupees, then the GM is the one who is going to make decision. So yes, of course, we need to decide what decision who can make. And when multitasking come in place, lean manning come in place, then we have less people who make the decision, but still we need to have things handy so that, junior staff can make decision and the guest should not suffer. We are thinking of bringing AI into place, whether it comes to menu ordering or viewing menu, but things are not yet clear. But yet definitely we would look at leaning the manning so that the decision also be there in place, that what employees are talking to the guest.
Thank you, Deepika. I like that example that you gave, delegation of authority, exactly how much can one do and how much can one not do. So that's a good example, at least one knows that I'm responsible for this and this is what I'm delegated for. Thank you for that. And Hardeep, you're there?
Yeah.
Hardeep, now can we have your expert views, please?
I think the panel summed it up very well. I'm aligned to what the panel is sharing. I think the organizations using just one structure, there is limitations to that. So the hierarchical structure has a lot of benefit. It gets the job done. It gets execution done. If you bring an idea into it, they can deliver it. It comes from military. So it's beautiful. Protocol, chain of command, all of that is amazing. The downside of that structure is that it does not allow for speedy decisioning and impacts innovation. So the other option available is you keep a fluid organization. You take a set of multi-disciplined professionals, put them together, give them a problem, they go solve it. Ask them to get it done, and it's going to be an issue there. They'll do great on ideation. They'll do great on solving a customer problem, finding out new process workflows, all of that piece. But eventually, you need to get the job done. So my sense is that organizations will look at keeping multiple structures within within themselves. So businesses will have hierarchical structures, will also have flat, agile teams, and the expectations from both these organizations will be very different. There'll be one set of team which will be continuously looking at what are the new problems which are coming up, what are some of the new solutions they can bring to the table, what are the new ways of working, what's the new value customers need, do prototyping, do testing. And after that, once they've got the idea, they've got a prototype, and then they will move it to the next organization. They'll say, okay, here it is. We've got the proof of concept, go scale it up. I think organizations will take both these approaches, and ones which we do it will become extremely successful and scalable.
Hardeep, thank you. I mean, I think you gave us the solution. Let's have multiple structures, a structure with a hierarchy, and then you have those agile ones that I was talking about, those nerve centers. And I think this is something very interesting. I'd love to work on something like this or a paper on this, that how should we have the structures for different, situations. Right now, as you rightly said, that hierarchy, the negative point is the speed. It reduces the speed, which we need right now because we are all over the place, and also innovation also. But yes, if we have two types of structures, it would be good. So I think this has been a very interesting round. Both there we got a lot of information. Govind, can we move on to the questions right now?
Yes, ma'am, we can do that.
So what I'll do, yeah. 1 second, just give me 1 second for this.
Yeah, no problem.
So I would address this question to the panelists and anybody can answer. Okay, whoever wants to, so that we can. So this is a very interesting question. Maybe I'll try. Irrespective of anything in the leadership team, I have one question. Sorry if it hurts, but why is it that always that a junior and a mid-level is fired, put on the bench, or removed from the system? HR plays safe. HR has a, yeah. So why is it? So my question, I don't know if this is true or not, but this is to all my dear panelists, that according to Megha, it is always the junior and a mid-level who's fired first. Is it true?
Looks like Hardeep has answered. Maybe he wants to jump in.
Give my views on it, yeah. So,
would you like to answer that?
Yeah, other panelists can take this opportunity. We are running out of time, though. Yeah.
Nobody wants to answer that?
I already put my views on the table, so.
Okay.
Deepika wants to.
Yeah, Deepika.
So my answer to this question is, it's not the junior most person or the middle person who get fired. It's just that the skill set is not required at that point of time. That is the only thing I would like to say as an HR professional. Trust me, there is no reason why a junior or senior will get fired. If your organization does not need that skill set at that point of time, it would like to get rid of it. And we would like to take something new which we want for that moment. That's what I would like to say about this. Thank you.
Yeah, very well said, Deepika. It's the need, what we need right now. It's the organization has to run, and very well said that what you need, you will keep right now. So we have another very interesting question, and this is from Bas Raj. He says, how do we address the vulnerability in competencies of an individual in this kind of a working model? In this model means a model where we are at home and all over the place. How do you address it? That the person is vulnerable or not?
I'm not sure.
Rashmi,
yes.
If you can make me understand question better. So he's trying to ask how the vulnerability is going to be addressed.
I think he's talking from a leadership point of view.
Right. So my thought on this is entire competency models, right, are going to be tested, right? Vulnerabilities or fear of the employee is going to be one of the big concerns, right, which entire leadership team need to address, right? So the innovation, demand for innovations going up, working conditions changing, market conditions changing, the vulnerability of each and every layer is going to be changing, right? So how you make employee comfortable, how leadership handles the teams with more hands-on, working with them closely rather than taking a giving instruction to them and taking a feedback, more of a managerial approach need to change, right? You need to go down, work with the employees, understand their challenges, because challenges are changing. Leadership style as well as leadership evaluation of things also need to change to reduce the vulnerability. That's the way, go down to ground, work with the employees more closely, which is good for leadership, good for organization, and good for reducing the vulnerability of your team.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that answers. I think
Rashmi,
this, yes.
We have one more question. We have question from Facebook Live as well. So maybe because I have track of that, so I can ask that.
Please
there is a viewer from Facebook Live. Her name is Ramola Anu. And her question is, major hit of this pandemic is in our hospitality industry. Please share how to tackle this war situation cost effectively as HR, I believe she might like to say. So anybody from hospital industry or no? I know you are very close, Rashmi, that you are in.
Deepika can answer that.
I would like to listen to this question once again, please.
So basically, she's trying to ask that how can we tackle the situation of maybe less jobs or less job in hospitality industry, as it is worstly affected in this pandemic.
In this case, I would like to say that unemployment is present in hospitality and aviation sector the most at the moment. And hospitality industry is learning at the moment that how to save jobs. As I said earlier also, as an HR professional, we need to help the organization, the management to save job as much as we can. And the meta skill come into place that we need to train our employees how to do multi-skilling. I think this is the only way how we can save the employees from getting their job lost.
Thank you.
So another perspective on this hospitality employment. In fact, one of the thing which will happen in hospitality is they are going to restructure their business more than other sectors, which also means new kinds of jobs coming in. If I take aviation sector, if aviation traffic have come down and they need lesser number of flights and lesser number of people to handle it, the complexity of handling the customer or handling the checkpoints or handling the data requirements, everything is changing. People need to web check-in before coming in. So all the web check-in counters security check-in counters at airport become redundant, right? But there are other jobs which are coming up, and maybe in particular this sector, job requirement will require reskilling faster than other sectors. So that will be need of hour, right? And they need to re-innovate very fast because these are the sectors which are affected badly. Don't try to save the job. You can't save the job for longer than 3 months or 6 months, right? Put your effort, put your resources, what you are trying to support him to save his job for 3 or 6 months, rather than reskill him, make it employable. Don't leave him on the mercy that we are trying to save the job. Reskill him, make him redeployable. That will work wonders for organization as the employee both.
Thank you.
Yeah. Harish, what you said was so relevant today. I mean, it's no use trying to save the job. You're talking from an organization point of view, but also employee point of view, that if you see that it's not working out and this industry is not working, try to reskill yourself. There are so many courses that even Harvard, Stanford, Columbia are offering free. Do those courses, try to do those something. Because right now, one thing that is opened up is that when you're working from home, you can, if you're not fully employed and if your company allows you, you can work globally. There are a lot of contracts that you can take up, maybe something on change management, maybe something on competencies, if you're in HR or in any other skill on design thinking or whatever. So, but get yourself certified. And there are a lot of opportunities, new things will come up. But if you try to hang on to something of the past, that will be difficult.
Right.
Govind, you have more questions from Facebook?
We have a lot of questions. So I would request the speakers, as we have less time, if we can just sum up in a brief, that will be awesome, and we'll be able to take more questions. One very quickly from Facebook Live again, Dr. Murthy asking about, this is a little off track, I believe, but maybe connected with this pandemic, is how do we reduce the stress level in students? And I'm sure the stress level might be because of their career to kick off, and they see already layoffs happening. So anybody would like to touch upon this a little bit?
So
maybe I can answer. I can put in something. Yes, Hardeep, you were saying something?
Hardeep, we can't hear you. You are on mute.
I said I couldn't follow the question fully, but please go ahead. Yeah. Busy responding to a few questions on the chat.
Okay. So the stress level in students, I think the closest to the students is the faculty, the people in the home. So the students, I've been speaking to a lot of students, and I've spoken to students through the college, and they call up also. So I don't think they're all so stressed. They also have understood by now that, there are things that they need to reskill themselves. I mean, do that extra part till the college opens, or whether it'll open or not. And I think the new generation and the millennials are really the ones who lead. So I don't know. I have spoken to a lot of them, and they don't seem to be so stressed. And if they are, then it is the faculty that needs to speak to them. It is the academia that needs to take the responsibility, because they are closest to them. And of course, the family members.
So, Rashmi, let's assume, because the question is being asked, that means there are concerns at young graduate level, right? So, my thought to address will be, so how we want to address this challenge in organization going forward, when we bring fresh graduates or new joinees on the, when they join the company, how we are going to share the knowledge which used to get transferred from the senior employees or colleagues to the new joinees, which was because of physical presence, because of a lot of tacit understanding getting transferred during the informal conversation, which may not happen during partial work from home kind of environment. That's the challenge to look at. In my opinion, anxiety level for a 20-year-old graduate versus 50-year-old manager are different and similar, right? Graduate has lesser responsibilities, and 50-year-old person may not be very inclined to bring changes in him. So everybody has a different set of challenges to address, right? So we need to prepare ourselves how we are going to address and minimize these concerns of young graduate or 50-year-old employee.
I agree with you 100%.
Rashmi, just wanted to add a perspective here. The reason I'm jumping in is because I did my master's in at the time when 2008 crisis were at peak, right? Yeah. So when I passed out, so I can understand that the kind of thought process which goes at this time, I can totally relate. We all also at that time had a concern whether we'll get the right jobs, package and other things. Of course, current situation is even more dim because considering the course completion also to an extent at times. Now, the only thing I want to say is that it all, goes on, right? Life goes on. So today I am also here, and all my, I would say, I'm saying colleagues, not colleagues, but my friends are also very well placed. So it all depends that at this point of time, when you're going back to work, don't let anxiety really overpower you, because at this time, everyone is understanding the current situation. The organizations, the leaders are also taking note of things. It's not that it is as bad as we're looking at it. Just ensure that whatever you're learning, it is really adding value to you. It's going to be even more important. Your skill set, fundamental skills, or what we call meta skills, are going to be even more important. So just make sure you're focusing on it. And definitely there is a better future also there.
Very well said, Raj. Very well said. You know, it's what is adding value to you is important. And I'll give you an instance right now. A lot of those internships that were paid internships from the IIMs and all were, cancelled many for overseas ones. And we had a lot of students coming to us that, we'd like to do the internship with you because, and not only to us, we spoke to other organizations also. And they said, but we will not pay you right now because you're sitting at home. They said, we don't even want the money. We just want to learn. So this is the student of today, give us a project, we'll work on it. We don't, we're sitting at home and we'll do the project. We don't even want a stipend. I mean, so this is the attitude of the student of today. I mean, it's brilliant. So this is the way to go. This is what I feel. Yeah. So Govind, where are we?
I think we can take only one more question. So if you want to pick any from Zoom chat, people who are there.
There is one question here which we've answered all these years, last 2-3 years. I mean, last year we were quiet on this. Will the role, and this is from Sudhir to everyone, will the role of HR, and I want all my panelists to pull in for this question. Will the role of HR diminish in the years to come?
Through the roof. I think this is going to be an organization. This era, this new era, the CHRO will be looked at, the HR teams will be looked at to solve problems for the business from a people dimension. More and more, HR will become stronger. I mean, the positioning will become stronger, and the expectation from HR is going to dramatically change. It's no longer going to be just cleaning up the mess or anything, but really solving the business problems from an operating standpoint. So being the conscious keeper, being the culture, bringing culture which is connected to strategy, connected to business outcomes, all of these elements is where HR is going to play a significant role. Keeping the organization balanced between execution, agility, getting it up, all of those elements, the board is going to look at the HR teams to solve for. So my view is it's extremely positive for HR.
Thank you, Hardeep. It's such a feel-good factor that after all, HR is going to get the importance, the due importance finally. What is your say on that, Harish?
Although I am not from HR function,
I know that. Yeah,
right?
But...
So, in my opinion, it's going to get very tough for HR, right? As a custodian of people, which is going to come under a lot of pressure. It's a time. This is a time when organization or organization leadership will look forward to HR team leading initiative to make organization learning not by design but by accident when we have landed up in situation. And when you're trying to create a learning organization, when all the things we talked about, making it flatter, making it more grounded, making it reducing vulnerability of the team, it's more tough than in normal situation when you try to bring a learning organization culture in the organization. Half the people are working from home, half the people are not interacting informally, right? Making sure those interactions happen through other means, right? So apart from administrative role of performance management system or lot of HR as a business partner, there are some of the changes which are going to be very strategic will be expected from HR.
Thank you, Harish. So now it's the pressure that's going to come on to HR with so many things that we know. So anyway, we still feel good about it. So Rashi, what are your views on that?
Great insights by both on this. Now, definitely, I strongly also feel that HR's role is not going to diminish. It's rather going to be more on spotlight. But what Harish rightly highlighted, now it depends whether we do justice to it or not. It's going to change the ballgame. Now, if we understand, as I highlighted in the beginning, how the organization creates value for self and for clients, if HR understands that well, if HR is partner to it, then definitely it's going to be even more prominent, because currently when, especially in the current situation, I would say when crisis hit us, it was most of the organization HR has become more prominent for taking certain decisions because people are affected, right? Now, if we give that value back to business, that's when we'll be taken seriously. Otherwise, again, it will end up becoming just another support function. So I think we really need to be a part of business, like true business partners, and make it more valuable to understand that yes, HR can add value. Now, what Hardeep also highlighted, whether it is for execution or for strategies or people learning, anything you talk about, I also strongly feel HR's role is not going to diminish, it's going to be even more prominent, but how you do add value will differ from company to company and people to people. So it is all in our hands now.
Yeah, it's all in our hands now. Very well said. And how we give back to the business, like all of you said, that it's very important. Otherwise, we will again be talking. Do we have a seat at the table that we discussed so many years back? And Deepika, what is your say on this?
So I would like to give this answer to Sudhir, that Sudhir, among the top 20 jobs for the next coming 20 years, HR is going to be there for sure. So many startups coming up in the world, they need HR for sure. And for 50 employees, we need at least one person in HR. So we need HR for sure. And the last thing for HR, since you are going to be HR or you're a fresher, I don't know, become a HR business partner. Don't become just a HR person. Think that you are going to become a CEO of this company, not just a CHRO. Then only you will become a good HR. That's it. And HR role will never ever get diminished. That's all I would like to tell you. Thank you.
Thank you, Deepika. This is really, really motivating. And I think like a CEO, that's the best part of it. Yes, it will not go the job, and yes, and become more important with a lot of pressure, as Harish said. And lastly, I would like to take the opinion of Govind. Govind, what do you say on this? What is your say on this? Your expert views, please.
I feel that talent is as a function is one of the important functions. I'll just build on what Deepika talked about. I myself is playing that role right. I work with a company which is a US-based company, develop softwares for US clients. As along with the being a HR head, I also look after the business leader role for that that center. So which means that I think now people in human resources are also gradually moving to the business leader role, and understanding of business is very important. So if Sudhir's question and his understanding of HR is somebody who is just doing all the paperwork and onboarding and all that, I think that HR might not live long because the automation will take the place. But if you are talking about learning and development and human resources and culture building, I think you guys talked about it a lot. So I think if you are passionate about these kind of field in human resources, you have a lot of scope, and organizations are giving a lot of importance to human resources in the organization, especially in IT industry. I'm sure other industries too.
Thank you, Govind. Thanks for summing it up so well. And looking at it, so we discussed a lot on all the changes that have taken place, the value creation, the structure. And actually, the irony is that did it actually require a pandemic for us for so many changes to take place? And there's so many new behaviors that are coming up. Are they going to stick on? I think it's too early to say, but we'll see. So, Govind, what is the next step now? Do we close?
Yeah, so we are already 2 minutes up, but we are good. I think there were such an interesting questions. So if you allow me, I can do the closer.
Thank you, Govind. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Just want to tell this group that this conversation has insights so much that I think I have roughly 30 plus questions which are unanswered so far. And they all are very, very interesting. And of course, we don't have time to cover up all those. So my request to this panel is that if my YouTube team can reach out to you, those questions with you, and you can answer them and them. We will be able to go back to this audience, our YouTube channel, so that they can get answers of the questions which they couldn't get in this panel discussion due to the lack of time. Is that okay with you guys, all the panelists?
Yes, wonderful.
I see nodding head, so I take it as yes. All right, great. So with that said, we have a couple of things to do. One is, of course, to thank this awesome panel, starting from Rashmi, who has moderated well. I always appreciate the fact that Rashmi never come up with bookish questions and come up with your research and so in depth that I think you make the life of panelists tough. That's why I get scared to be in panel with you or come prepared well.
But can I say something, Govind? Can I say something? Govind, can I add something?
Yes.
See, Govind, I don't know how your memory goes down, but in 2015, we met in a panel. The story begins with a panel. We met in Delhi School of Economics. We were sitting next to each other and we were both panelists. And then we didn't stop from there. Yeah. And the friendship.
I remember that.
Yes.
I remember that very well. And that's the power of the networking and being together, that you stay together, you be in touch and share knowledge with each other. So thank you very much for remembering that and inviting me and all of us about that, the start of the journey. Also, thanks to Deepika, Rashi, Mr. Harish Wadhwa, and Hardeep for being an awesome panelist and being very candid about what they think, talking about their heart and voice, and sharing your experience with all of us. So thank you, all of you. There are two more things which I would like to do. One is to give you a heads up on our next webinar. I have heard many questions from people on the labor and employment law in this COVID-19, and got questions from many senior people as well. And the questions are like, hey, can I do a salary cut for my employees in this pandemic? Can I lay off somebody? Can I ask my people to go on leave forcefully? Can I withdraw an offer? Right? We have made offers to the college. Can I withdraw that? So all those kind of questions has come up to us. So we are coming up with our webinar on next Saturday with Radha Krishna Murthy, who is one of the advocates and a very senior labor consultant, especially in the IT industry. And so he will be coming up and sharing all his opinion with all of us. Anyone who is interested, stay tuned in our Facebook page. You will get all the information from. With that said, the last thing to do is to have a picture. Of course, if you would have been in person, we would have taken a better picture. But here in Zoom, we can just try to change our screen. And let me just try to put it to a gallery view. And I would request Krishna, who is one of our leaders from social media, to take a picture of all of us for memories, for social media, or I don't know what else he wants to do with that. So over to you, Krishna. We are all ready for the screenshot.
Govind, everyone needs to put on the cameras. A lot of them have.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course, we don't want to see a VG or SV or MN. We want to see your faces.
There are still a lot of people who have not opened their camera. So I would like to request all of them to...
Ankita, Anupama.
Awesome. I could hear the sound. So you have one more screen. There are 3 more screens to shot. There are a lot of people.
Please come on camera. Sudhir, Swapnil, Vijay.
I will request to make some funny poses like this, whatever you want.
I only know this, so I can make that.
Sure.
A lot of people have hidden themselves.
They don't like the camera. Or they are not, they didn't have the bath to dressed up.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're good, Krishna?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for giving your time on this Saturday, and hope this 1.5 hour is something which will add value to your career, and hope you must have answered your questions. So thank you very much, everybody. See you in next Saturday.
Thank you, Govind. Thank you, panelists. Wonderful panelists. I love the conversations. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, for attending.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Wonderful session, man.